If you're anything like me, you have to close this. If you've been out in the workforce for, a couple of years or maybe many years, there is a very high possibility that you have a professional resume. And on that resume, you might have your job descriptions, your job titles, the years that you worked in places, some specific credentials. Maybe your education is listed on there if you're a good student, unlike me. And as I've moved through my career, I have updated that and tweaked it and customized it for different jobs that I'm applying for, so that it's not actually the whole truth about me. It's the truth. Everything on there is true, and it represents parts of my career and parts of my skill set, but it's not necessarily the whole truth. Like, who is all of me? Hi, I'm Dan Jaspersen, and I'd like to introduce you. And I'd like to introduce myself to you. This is a piece about knowing yourself. This whole series, we've been studying intimacy, personal intimacy. How do we understand ourselves? How do we understand God? How do we understand our relationships with other people? And this particular piece is about know thyself, right? The great Greek philosopher Socrates said, know thyself, which means understand the whole of you. And, many times when we're talking about a resume, we're thinking of the professional part of you, but that's definitely not the whole of you. Here's a quick look at my resume. This isn't even in order, you guys. There's no dates on this. These jobs are not in order, but these are real things that I've done over the course of my career. And I look at this and I definitely say, that's not really who Dan Jaspersen is, right? This is a better picture, a more full picture resume, right? When we look at it, you can see I'm a husband, I'm a father, I've got a couple of kids. I've lived and traveled around the world. I am the primary stay-at-home parent for my family, which means I do a lot of the cooking and cleaning and grocery shopping, hang out with my little 5-year-old daughter. In fact, right now, right outside of this room, my laundry is running. But you can see a little bit more about me. And one of the primary things that shows up on the second list, as opposed to the original list that I showed you, is I'm a magician. And that's the professional side of me. So today we're going to look at the idea of more of a full picture, holistic view of who we are as people. Some of us use, I'm sure many of us have used these types of models like the strength finders. These are my top 5. And you can see there, that's a little snippet of me. Enneagram is a very popular one. I don't even know what my Enneagram things are. I've read a couple of books and I guess I have more soul searching to do in that area. Whatever. Myers-Briggs have done that, I don't know, a dozen times, and they always come out a little bit different, and they're, it's fine. It's fine. There's a quote here by Ian Morgan Crone. It's a model, and all models are incomplete. They're useful, but incomplete. Right? Think about that. So even these great systems that we have of trying to describe who we are, personality tests and our psychological tests and things like that, they're just starting points. They're just models. That's it. Here's an exercise that I do with a lot of my marketing clients when we talk about our businesses. Probably my favorite on this particular list here is transparent but not colorless. If you sit down with me and grab a cup of coffee or something, I'm going to be very transparent with you. We're going to talk about things. I'm a very casual person. We're going to get to that in a second here, but I'm not colorless, right? When we have this conversation, there's a lens that I'm looking through. There are ways that I see the world and things that I believe, and you're going to get those, and then there's a couple of quotes by friends of mine who talk about me mostly as a magician here. Humble and normal, but knows cool things. I like that one because I'm a magician and I do know a few cool things and it's fun. So boil this down to a very basic, Dan Jaspersen is casually curious. Dan Jaspersen is casually curious. I got it wrong again. Dan Jaspersen is curiously casual. That's where I got to. I don't know if that's totally accurate or not, but it's where I landed. And it says a lot about me. I'm a very casual person. I was a suit and tie in the corporate world for a while. I'm also a very curious person. I spend a lot of time learning other skills, spend a lot of time practicing different skills. I love to travel. I love to work in linguistics and hang out with my kids and see the world through their eyes, go camping, go hiking, go fishing, all those kinds of things. Of course, it's not the full view of Dan, but it's a nice, well-rounded view of Dan. How did I get here? Well, here's my pattern. This is the real pattern. I've been in magic and out in the professional world for about 20 years, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I've said the wrong things for gigs at gigs for multimillionaires. I've done the wrong things at events, and I've been fired from a couple jobs, and I've made a lot of mistakes. But I've also landed big gigs from major companies that you can see there, and I've said the right things for event planners and other professionals that I've worked with. I've made a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. Through all of that, through the last 20 years of working like this, I pay attention and I pray and I go for walks and go for hikes and I dream a lot and I write a lot and I pay attention to the world around me and the life that I've had. And I hope you do this type of an exercise for yourself sometime. If you do this, you try and get to know yourself. You try and lay out on paper what really makes you tick. You know, your job is one part of you, and that's fine. But what about your relationship with your family? What about your relationship with your friends? What about the way that you see the world, the way that you see all sorts of parts of the world, whether it's politics or religion or work ethic or hanging out by yourself or the types of movies that you like or the types of music that you like? All of those kinds of things play into this full view resume idea of what's the whole picture of you. I've shared a little bit of mine, and we don't really have time to go into all of it. But my hope for you is that there's a nugget of inspiration maybe in this, that you could sit down with your own pencil and paper and do an exercise where you boil it down, not even boil it down. First, go really big, go really large as to who are you, what's the full picture of you, and then boil it down into some sort of a definition of what makes you tick.